Anyway, talk about intelligent followers. Naja's been waiting there. She is the owner of Secure Method Investing. She's the
There
chief
it is.
money motivator. There
Hey.
you go.
Gentlemen, how are you?
I got to start off. I'm wonderful, and thank you for coming on and being a chief money motivator. I want to know, describe to me your relationship to money, because obviously someone that's a money motivator knows that money is a currency, an object of energy we put into the flow. I want to know your relationship to money, because that's, to me, a good place to start to set a foundation of how we motivate.
Oh, yes. Well, I have a relationship with money. It's not tangible anymore. It's more digital. So we're actually creating it from within. So when you say it's something in space, I definitely agree with that. So I enjoy looking at it like a currency, something that flows through water. You really can't hold it, but you can guide it to where you want it to go. So that's my relationship with it.
I love it. I love it. And how have you developed that relationship? Have you transpired or evolved from a scarce world to this abundant understanding, or what was the journey to get to the lessons of this abundant attitude towards money?
Yes, it definitely was. I was always a hustler. I have to go get it. I have to do many, many things. But now with the internet and how it works, it's more systems. So the more systems we put into place, the easier it is for us to attract it. And if we just kind of like lay that track for money to come to us, it's a lot easier to get than going out and working really hard, like I was taught when I grew up.
That's really interesting. Paying attention to the system. I was asked the other day in an interview that I was being interviewed, and they said, in your profession and consulting and coaching in the work I've done over the last 30, 40 years, what's the biggest fallacy that you keep being told about what you're supposed to be doing? And I don't know where this came from, but it just popped into my head. And the biggest fallacy I ever heard was keep your eye on the goal. Keep your eye on the goal. Keep focused on the goal. And what that misses is the process. And that's what you're talking about, I think, is, if you keep your eye on the process, you're going to get to the goal. But if you keep your eye on the goal, you're gonna number one, you're gonna miss the journey. But number two, you're gonna miss a lot of opportunities to really enhance and improve what it is that you're doing as you get there. Yeah. What's the process for you?
Well, I'm an investor, first of all. And one of the things I like about investing is it really teaches you who you are in real time. So if you get nervous and you get a lump in your throat, when you're losing a trade, that's exactly where you'll feel it. So what I'm noticing is my process is, it's not getting angry with myself when I get it wrong, but throwing something at the wall and building on top of that. So my process is definitely try something, throw something at the wall, and then let's evaluate and make it better. So that's my process for now.
And you've learned to not only do it yourself, but empower other people as well. And, it's a very interesting space. I coach a lot of different traders, and there's a psychology that far reaches beyond the technical trading side of things. And I know you have the what the tech formula, but how much does psychology play into it? And through those psychological tendencies, how do you train people to mirror, the discipline or the strategies that you have psychologically combined with the technological systems that you teach?
Well, the first thing I always take into consideration is that the principles are the same, the tactics are different. So it's always buy low and sell high. And anybody can come in and say, okay, do that. But if the person doesn't believe it, any tactic you give them won't work. So the way that I marry the way I do my processes and technical is, being a coach, you get to figure out how to say something exactly to that client, how to translate and get that information to them. So an example would be, I was talking to a gentleman helping him trade, and he was like, the market is wishy-washy. How do I know what to do? I said, imagine that you're going out on a date and you're waiting for your lady to tell you she wants to go to the movies or she wants to go to eat. You don't make a move until she makes a decision. And that's how I translated that process and trading to him. So by being a coach of individual people, I get to translate what coaching and teaching and trading is in their language. So the process, the tactics are relatively the same, but it just changes a little bit with every individual I work with.
Mm-hmm. So it's highly personal.
Highly personal.
Yeah.
Because I work with people who are not techies, they are not math wizards at all. We're talking about hairdressers, artists, people who you would generally say do not belong in the math world. I would have to teach them to trade through picture. But everybody can do it as long as you got the principle and their way of speaking.
Their way of speaking. Their way of speaking. Yeah.
Matching frequency, right? And to that purpose, one of the biggest things about any buying and selling atmosphere, any marketplace that's two-sided like that is, the understanding of the margin. And I try to teach this and explain this to a lot of people, that the easiest way to make money is to go ask the experts that have been around for 30, 40 years and say, can you let me know when something's oversold? And you don't have to hit the bottom. And then you go to those same experts and say, hey, give me a call when it's overbought. And then you go ahead and sell it. And now within the indices of trading, there's key indicators of when something's overbought or oversold. And I find that people tend to get in trouble because they think they're smarter than the math. And these are people that don't know math. So in some respects, don't you think it's a little bit easier to tell them, hey, we're just looking to buy when something's oversold and sell when something's overbought. And as long as we're in these two margins, we're going to consistently create a margin for ourselves? Or do you find it more difficult to technologically tell somebody that? Because I find these mathematicians are trying to outthink themselves normally, and when it comes to trading, and people like hairdressers can do really well with the emotional intelligence that they have.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times when we're looking at people teaching us how to trade, they're using a lot of big words, and it makes them feel better, but not necessarily the client feel better.
That's the lawyer trick, right? We'll just change all the words and charge you $500 an hour. And if you just would have told me what it meant in English, that would have been fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's not fun at all. So what I do know is that it's easier for me to teach someone who has no clue at all, because I don't have to break down barriers that they think they know. And they'll feel like it's dumb luck, but it gets to kind of progress and live a little longer. So I think it's a lot easier to teach people who just kind of are oblivious to it than someone who's been doing it for a long time and been doing it wrong for a long time. So I was like, you're going to have to be as high as a giraffe's nuts if you think that I'm going to sit up here and try to undo 20 years of something that you got wrong. So it is easier to teach someone who has no clue.
Yeah, David, you're probably real familiar with that. Miles. Yeah, Miles, he's a great athlete. I mean, he really is. But he's got some models that have enabled him to do that, because as a neophyte learner, and that's what I'm hearing now is, I mean, you take a beginner, take somebody with a beginner's mind. They don't have to be a beginner, but if they come with a beginner's mind, you're going to have a lot more success with them.
Oh, and not only that, if they come to me with a beginner's mind, as well as just a freedom to forgive themselves and treat it like a game. Let's have fun with it. Let's take the scary math out of it and all of the things that could really just bog you down. Let's enjoy the process, and that makes it a whole lot easier. And so they can reach me all the time. Right there at the bottom, Najia500.com, they can go and actually take the course, because I've taken all of the scary stuff out, and I've also taken 90% off of the price, because I really want entrepreneurs to go in there and begin to trade. Because they say when you're an entrepreneur, you got your business, your marketing. Those are the two things you're in when you're in your business. But you also have to kind of put in investing too, because the way the market is changing right now, some of the people we're used to as clientele, they can't afford the classes. So if your business is struggling right now and you can't get money from the clients, the market is where the money is hiding. That's what I would say to all entrepreneurs. Because if you can look at it, Wall Street and Main Street, they're doing two different things. And that's because Wall Street looks at the future and Main Street looks at right now. So if you're a business owner, you should really consider investing as a part of your business to help it grow.
Yeah.
So smart. What's interesting is you've also taken out the misinformation about how long it takes to get an expertise. You have a week-long course that's highly successful, and it takes in your course in execution only about 30 days to have an expertise in kind of the Forex riches, the ability to trade. What is it that has allowed you to be able to get such a quick turnaround and allow someone to be empowered to trade within 30 days?
Well, on the flip side, I'm an artist. So a lot of the course is through picture. And we're in a society now where we want it fast. We want to learn it through visual. So I took all of the scary words out. I've done all the math behind the scenes. So visually, we're just looking for a certain picture. And that's how you know where to put your trades. And that's what the course teaches.
Wow.
Yeah. As an investor, and you mentioned this very early on, that the business itself, it puts you right up against yourself. You're looking around and all of a sudden you're confronting yourself everywhere you turn, everywhere you look. It's kind of like, oh, and it's mostly around the fear. And investing, it's kind of like, and I look at my own self early on when I was investing, it's kind of like, I can't afford to lose this. What if I make a bad choice here? How does your system, how does the way you approach things deal with the emotionality? Because I remember, I go way back. Yeah. So one of the investments we had, I wrote it all the way up, and it went up and up, and and then I wrote it all the way down.
Well,
I lost about $250,000 in that little escalator ride.
I know that hurt the heart. It hurt my heart just hearing it.
And the point was, I was emotionally attached to the stock. I was emotionally attached to that investment, emotionally attached to it, which was a stupid thing to be.
There is a difference though, because there's investing and then there's trading. So when you're an investor, you're holding on for only God knows how long. But when you're a trader, it's a certain time, a certain price, right? Yep. And so one of the things that I love doing is let's knock all your fears out of the way. That thought of I'm going to lose my shirt and all of that, there's a way to incorporate stop losses and risk tolerance based on who you are. And once you pave all of those fears, then you can just take off running. So I lean into the things that people are scared of, and let's tackle those first while we're learning through picture. So investing is hard. Trading is a little bit easier.
It cost me $250,000 to learn about stop loss.
I won't tell you about my stop loss that I had on the airplane ride that saved my butt from losing everything. But it's amazing. One of the lessons here, though, is the ability to communicate. And you're such an effective communicator. A lot of people may have the wisdom that you have and experience that you have, but it's like Lou Holtz, the coach of Notre Dame, said, it's not what we say, it's what they hear. And the visual capabilities that you have and the communication gifts that you are giving really can help empower people and change their lives, because there is a great future in trading. People who understand the technology of trading, but also the emotional aspect of fear, like you indicated, which I love that part. I tell people all the time, if I get all these people asking me about investment opportunity, I said, first, tell me your timing and your risk tolerance, right? I can't tell you any advice until you tell me timing and risk tolerance, and I can tell you start at the very staples and foundation. Najia, where can people find you, join the course? So excited about what you're doing.
Well, right at the bottom, Najia500.com. It'll lead you right to the course. You'll begin right away. And so within 30 days, we're looking for some profits from you.
There you go, Najia500.com. Najia, thank you so much. Sorry for mispronouncing your name, but everybody that comes on the show gets used to it, right? Blaine, sorry about that. Thanks for coming on Office Hours.
You mispronounced my name for 15 years, so I'm not too worried about it.
That's right. I sit on the board of his wife's foundation, and like after a decade of calling him Bartlett, she goes, it's Bartlett. I go, oh, whatever. Whatever his name is. Exactly. Najia, thank you so much. Incredible wisdom. We appreciate you. Come back on and visit us.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Najia500.com. If you're at all interested in learning, what a great place to learn. All right, my friend. We are the end of the day.